Hey friends, welcome back. Today is day 3 of the Lose Weight This Week 5-day mini course for fat loss, and I hope things have been going well so far and that you're getting a lot of insights about this approach to weight loss and how your body is responding to everything. Today we're going to be talking about how to harness your fat loss superpowers and the importance of protein, muscle, and movement in this weight loss process and in your weight loss journey. Now we're kind of starting to get into the nitty gritty and really get into some areas that are more advanced, but really important if you're wanting to transform your body, building on the stuff that we've already learned the other 2 days so far this week. So yesterday we talked about how tracking is really the only way for you to know what works and what doesn't work for your body, and how important it is to have the data so that you can assess correctly and make changes if you need to, or at least know, hey, it is working, because fat loss is a marathon, not a sprint. And once you have your calorie deficit in the right place and you know it's working and you see the data supports it and you know everything is in the right place, this is where this portion comes in. After we have those two things in place, this is where we want to start prioritizing protein, thinking about maximizing your muscle mass, and then incorporating movement so that you can aid your fat loss. These are the 3 things that are going to really transform your body with fat loss the most. Going back to our girl who had this incredible transformation, 145 over here on the left, same woman, same weight, totally different body on the right. And that is what I would call body recomposition. Don't know if you're familiar with that term or not, but it's basically the idea of we are going to trade fat for muscle, because the same weight in both fat and muscle is gonna create 2 different looking results. Fat is much bigger. It's kind of like the insulation, the spray insulation that you'd be putting up in your house. It just kind of goes everywhere and it's very porous, whereas muscle is incredibly dense and incredibly small. Here's the thing. I think we all go into a diet knowing that we need to lose some fat in some areas, hoping that once we lose that fat, we're going to come out looking like her. But here's the thing. She weighs 145 in both pictures. So when she lost the weight with her fat, she'd be smaller. She wouldn't be 145 anymore. Let's say this is 10 pounds of fat on her body that she lost off her arms and her belly and stuff. Well, she would be 135, not 145. So how is it that she's 145 in this picture and all the fat is gone? Well, clearly she also had to gain or build or add muscle to her body structure at the same time. But yet, because she's the same weight and she obviously added some dense, lean muscle mass, it didn't make her bigger. She stayed very tight and tiny and small, yet she's still weighing the same because of how dense muscle is. This is really important to understand because dieting alone will not make you look like this. If she just dieted down and got the fat off and she wasn't exercising or working out or building muscle or adding muscle to her frame while she's in this process, she's just going to be a smaller version of this and probably weigh like 135 or 130. But she's not going to look like this. Here you can see she's got some shapely muscles going on in her legs and in her shoulders and in her abs and things like that. She's really reshaped her body. Dieting alone is not going to do that. We have to start thinking about prioritizing muscle for various reasons. One of which is that muscle makes you look really toned. It's the thing that's going to make you aesthetically look like you're in shape, which is what I know a lot of women are usually wanting to lose weight for. But not only that, it's going to help you maintain your fat loss in the long term, which basically means the more muscle you have, the more you're going to be able to maintain your weight, and the easier it's going to be for you to be able to maintain your weight. Back to our demonstration of 5 pounds of fat versus 5 pounds of muscle. So this is exactly what this woman did. She just swapped this for this. This is earned. This is hard earned. This is also hard earned by eating the right diet and staying with that calorie deficit and staying the course over time. But what ended up happening is she lost this and she added this 5 pounds over here in the muscle, and that's how she achieved that look. Here's the thing. For each pound of muscle that you have on your body, that pound of muscle is going to require 5 calories. It's going to burn 5 calories. So let's say you have 10 pounds of muscle in just one of your legs, right? That one leg is going to need 50 calories to be able to maintain just the muscle in your leg, above and beyond everything else that you have to maintain in your leg. Well, say you have 10 pounds of fat, like around your middle or something, okay? That 10 pounds of fat that's just sitting in the middle only needs 20 calories to be able to maintain that fat and stay there. And so clearly, if you take off the fat and you increase the muscle, what you're actually doing is you're increasing the amount of calories your body needs to take in every single day. This is why athletes, like people like Michael Phelps, or these college athletes that you see playing football, or if you know a teenager that plays sports in high school or wants to get into college and be able to play football for colleges and stuff, they are hitting the weights all the time, they're practicing all the time, and they're eating like it's a full-time job. I mean, they'll be eating like 3,000, 4,000 calories a day just to maintain the muscle that they need to go play and be strong. And that's because muscle is expensive to maintain. 5 calories, 5 extra calories you have to take in for each extra pound of muscle that you have on your body. So this is why building lean muscle and trading this 5 pounds here of fat for an extra 5 pounds of muscle over here, not just losing this and maintaining this, but taking this and finding a way to transform it into an extra 5 pounds over here. That's why this body recomposition is so important, because the more lean muscle you have on your body, the more calories you are going to burn when you do nothing. Your resting metabolic rate is going to raise because there's more of you. Your body is actually bigger, even though it looks smaller and it's denser. You have more of your body to maintain. And so that means you're going to have to eat more food. You're going to have to eat more calories, because you're burning more calories when you're laying on your bed sleeping, when you're sitting at your computer watching a webinar, or cooking dinner for your family. And that is why I got into fitness and bodybuilding in the first place, because the more muscle you have, the more you can eat. And I love to eat. And that makes it so much easier to be able to maintain your weight when you can eat more food. So today, it's my hope you'll leave this training with a better understanding of how eating protein and lifting heavy things and moving is essential for fat loss and your overall weight maintenance. And once again, if at all possible, this is important information. I would love for you to be able to just stick with me for the next 10 minutes with your full focus, if at all possible, because you are worth it, and some of these things might totally transform your life. Just imagine if you could eat whatever you wanted without worry. No guilt, no beating yourself up, no wondering if you're going to pay for it on the scale the next day. That's what you can do if you prioritize these 3 things. Imagine if you always looked fit and lean and toned, no matter the angle, all the time when someone takes a picture of you and they put it on Facebook and you're looking at yourself and you're like, wow, I'm the lean one and I look good, I look great. Imagine if you never have to diet down for another family vacation ever again, because you just stay that way all the time. Imagine if keeping fat off of your body was completely effortless. These 3 things are the keys to being able to have that as a reality in your life. The one thing that makes people look fit, lean, and toned is muscle. That's it. Like I said before, dieting alone will not give you that look. Dieting can help you look skinny or skinny fat, but it is the muscle that gives you that lean and toned look. So 3 ways to really focus on muscle, keep your muscle, and end up burning more fat. Number 1, eating enough protein. This is a big one because protein aids your metabolism in so many ways. Number 2, lifting heavy things, resistance training or weight training as some people call it. That's going to create and preserve your muscle. And then number 3, moving or exercise as some people would say, but we can just classify this as moving in general. That's going to be the thing that keeps you capable, confident, and free. So with eating enough protein, this is important because protein aids your metabolism. It helps your metabolism continue to burn nice and hot. It also feeds your metabolism and it helps your muscles. The reason why you need to prioritize eating enough protein studies show that protein is the macronutrients that makes the biggest difference when it comes to diet and weight loss. A lot of times people want to argue whether high carb or high fat is better, and they'll go back and forth about, no, I do low carb. No, I do low fat. You need carbs. And they just argue all day long about which is better, carbs or fat. The answer is neither matter. The answer is protein. Protein is the thing that matters the most. In fact, multiple studies have shown that as long as the protein in the diet is high enough, you can lose the same amount of weight and fat on a high carb, high protein, or a high fat, high protein diet. In fact, high carb, high protein tends to help you lose more body fat in the long run. So carbs are not bad, contrary to popular belief. So protein is the thing that makes the biggest difference, and here's why. Number one, your body cannot store it. There are no cells in your body that are storage for protein. If you do not take it in your diet, you're just not going to get it. And so your body's either going to have to make do if it doesn't have enough protein and something in you doesn't get repaired or healed, or it's got to take it from you. Number two, it has the biggest thermogenic effect of all the macronutrients. Now, it's a big word that basically means it speeds up your metabolism when you eat it. So when you eat a piece of chicken breast, or you get a Chick-fil-A for a chicken sandwich, or you have some eggs or some tofu, when your body is breaking down the protein takes longer in your body to break down and digest, which actually keeps you feeling fuller longer and less hungry because it's going to take longer to actually break down. And what happens is your metabolism has to get hotter and ramp up even more in order to break down that particular macronutrient. It's almost like having a little fat burner every time you eat it, which is part of the reason you're eating such high protein when you're doing bodybuilding competitions. You want all the fat burners you can get. So it has the biggest thermogenic effect, so it's actually going to be helping you burn more fat even as you eat. And then the last thing, which kind of goes along with the first thing I mentioned, it keeps your body from metabolizing muscle, because the longer you diet, the more your body is going to be tempted to take what it needs from you, your muscles, and your tissue. And so when you keep your protein high, you're giving it the building blocks it needs to repair itself, which keeps it happy, and it's not going to be tempted as you diet to start stealing it from you to get enough. So here's one of many studies that prove this out, that eating enough protein is key. This was published in April of 2015, talking about the role of protein in weight loss and weight maintenance. And basically, I've taken a little excerpt from the abstract here that talks about how when they were looking at all the different meta-analysis of the shorter term, tightly controlled feeding studies, it showed greater weight loss, fat mass loss, and preservation of lean mass, which is muscle tissue, after higher protein energy restriction diets than after lower protein energy restriction diets. Basically reiterating, it is the protein that makes the difference with seeing greater fat mass loss and preserving lean mass, which is basically your muscle tissue. So just think about this for a second. What could happen with your weight loss if, instead of having the debate about if you're eating too many carbs or if you should be doing keto, you started to think that way about protein? What if every day it was, am I eating enough protein? Did I get my protein in? What do I need to do? What do I need to do in this meal to make sure I'm getting my protein in? How would prioritizing protein and worrying about protein the way that many people have been worrying about carbs in the past, how might that begin to change and reshape your weight loss efforts and your body overall? Key number 2, lifting heavy things. When I think about this, I always think about that Planet Fitness commercial. I pick things up, I put them down. I pick things up, I put them down. I know Planet Fitness is so good at making fun of meatheads and stuff. And a lot of times we think of heavy lifting or weight training as being a meathead kind of a thing. A lot of women are like, I don't want to lift too heavy. I don't want to look like a man, things like that. But this is the fountain of youth, and I'm going to show you why. Resistance training creates and preserves muscle. This is why it's important when it comes to the fat loss and body recomposition process. This is the only thing that's going to make your muscle stay and look good Diet isn't going to do that, and this is how you achieve that lean and toned look. You need to incorporate resistance training because preserving and building muscle strength is the key to overall health, especially as we age. Dieting is going to accelerate your muscle loss. The more you restrict food to your body, that is called starvation, the more it's going to want to pull the extra calories that it needs to defend itself and to aid itself from your own tissue, which is not really going to work long term, right? But resistance training actually sends a hormonal signal to your body because its number one operation is to preserve life. The resistance training on a regular basis is going to signal hormonally to your body that we must prioritize keeping the muscle because it's life-threatening if we don't. So it's the resistance training that increases your muscle retention, even though dieting tends to accelerate muscle loss. This is going to be a little buffer, a little barrier to help protect you from losing that wonderful, precious muscle. Some of the benefits of resistance training: it'll increase your strength and your functionality. This is really huge as you age. For the longest time, people were told you need to do cardio for your heart as you get older. Well, guess what? All the cardio in the world isn't going to help you get up the stairs when you're 85. I know. My dad has 2 sets of stairs in his house. He's 85 and he's super winded when he's getting up the stairs. And it's not because of his cardiovascular strength. That's actually pretty good right now for his age and all of his health conditions. It is his leg strength. He doesn't have the strength in his legs to get up the stairs, and because it's so taxing on his muscles to actually physically get up the stairs, he gets very winded very easily. It is your strength in your muscles that are going to keep your functionality as you continue to age. Think about lifting groceries in from out of the car from like Costco or something into the house. That is weightlifting. That is muscle strength that is required to do all of those things. And so to be able to have the maximum freedom as you age and the maximum mobility, the more muscle strength that you're able to keep and have, the better your options, the better off you're going to be overall. It is the fountain of youth. Another reason it's a fountain of youth is because it increases your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more food you need to eat, and the hotter that fire is going to burn. It's going to increase your fat loss because when you weight train, something amazing happens in the hours after you lift heavy weights. This does not happen with cardio, by the way. In the hours that you lift heavy weights and you challenge your body that way, it gets the signal, oh no, I need to rebuild. And that's going to actually give you an afterburn effect. So your metabolic rate, your metabolism is raised for hours after you do a heavy weight training session, which does not happen if you're just going to spend an hour walking on the treadmill. Not that that's bad, but the effect of the afterburn, no comparison. And this is where you can get a real powerful fat loss effect when it comes to incorporating strength training into your regimen. Strength training also lowers your blood sugar and it helps increase insulin sensitivity. So whenever I'm working with somebody who's a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, this is a must. We do weight training and we do HIIT training because that reduces the amount of glycogen that you have in your muscles, which basically when you have a blood sugar bucket, you take the glycogen out, the blood sugar is naturally going to lower. Glycogen is stored sugar in your muscles. Your muscles will always store some sugar and it's going to go to that first whenever you start to weight train. And so it is just a natural way that we can increase insulin sensitivity simply by weight training. You don't have to be a diabetic or pre-diabetic to be able to get that benefit. It's a very balancing thing, lifting heavy objects. Lifting heavy objects also balances your hormones. You may not realize that, but it's going to help women. We need testosterone. And did you know muscle building hormones is actually estrogen and testosterone? Now, we don't have the testosterone in the amounts naturally as men, so we're not going to get as big as men, nor are our muscles structured quite the same to be able to do that. But we do build muscle the same as men. And so when you're engaged in heavy lifting and you're really challenging your muscles and doing strength training, you're actually helping balance your testosterone and your estrogen and your progesterone levels if you're a woman, and you're actually gaining testosterone and balancing all of your hormone levels if you're a man. And it's amazing how it will really aid in that naturally happening. And the best thing I think about weightlifting is it is a way for you to naturally look younger. It is an anti-aging agent. And why? Because of collagen. Everyone wants to eat collagen now these days and take collagen. Well, guess what? When you break down your muscle tissue and you tear all of those fibers, the process of having to heal that muscle, it not only affects the area that you worked out, but it's going to happen all throughout your body. So every time you go to weight train, you're forcing your body to send more collagen, to send more resources, not just to the muscle that's been broken down, but to everywhere, your skin, your hair, everything. Your body is actually going to go into that repair process, and that's only going to benefit your skin and benefit your wrinkles and benefit the other areas of your body, especially if you're eating enough protein. All right, so heavy resistance training will not make you bulky. Can you say that with me out loud? Heavy resistance training will not make you bulky. This is a mantra that so many women, especially with legs, there are so many women that are convinced that if I do a squat, or if I put weight on my squats, or I'm deadlifting, or I'm doing something that's very mannish and military and tough and stuff, that I'm going to get these big, bulky legs. That is actually, it's not the muscle that's going to make you look bulky, because you don't have enough if you're a woman, and muscle is going to get denser. It takes an awful lot to get freakish, like what you see with bodybuilders. It also takes some steroids a lot of times and some other juice. Back to our diagram of the fat and the muscle, right? Having extra body fat on top of the muscle mass is what's going to make you look bulky. So if you're not addressing the body fat and you're just eating, like if you're eating like a power lifter, there's actually a couple female power lifters at my gym. They are fascinating to me. They're amazing. Like, whoo! My goodness, I love watching them because they're my heroes. And they lift amazingly heavy weights. They have body fat. They're not like lean, like I'm about ready to get on stage and compete. You can tell they've got muscle underneath there, and they're not fat, but they've got body fat over top of the muscle, and that's what makes them look kind of blocky and stuff. They need that body fat. When you're a power lifter, you don't want to get super lean. You're just trying to preserve as much muscle as you can so you can stay strong. So the body fat in their case is necessary for the type of sport that they do. But that's what women are scared of looking like really freakish and mannish and staying big. It's not the muscle that's going to make you look big. It's the fat that we haven't taken off over top of the muscle that might make you start to look bulky, but that's why we have to diet the right way to be able to take off that body fat and preserve the muscle. So muscle is smaller than fat. It's dense, but it's smaller than fat, so it's going to be hard to make you look bulky because it's going to require, like, you would have to take probably 3 of these little chunks in order to equal how big this is. And by the way, this is such a misnomer, people don't realize the maximum amount of muscle that you can build in the course of a year. Let's pretend like you're taking an entire year and you are eating and all you're doing is lifting and building your strength and building your muscle. Guess how much extra pounds you could add? Maybe 10. That is it, of muscle. That's it. It would take you about, if you could build about 1 pound of muscle a month, you're doing really good. You're actually doing really good with your rate of muscle gain, because it takes a lot of work for you to build that much muscle across your entire body. And this is a misnomer where people think, oh, well, the scale went up, I must have built some muscle. Well, maybe you did a little bit, but not a full pound. It takes a lot of work to build a full pound unless you're really purposely doing the process. And that's a very specific process. Even pro athletes who naturally go into bodybuilding mode in the course of a year, they're only naturally going to gain from about 10 to 15 pounds in an entire year, max. So it's really hard to get bulky lifting heavy weights. You're just not going to add that much weight to you. It's the fat that has to come off. So the bottom line is you don't need to be scared to do it. Here's another study showing that resistance training combined with diet, it decreases body fat, it preserves lean muscle mass, And it's independent of your resting metabolic rate. So your metabolism has nothing to do with it. It's just across the board. It's if you combine lifting heavy things with your diet, you're going to see a much better result. And bodybuilders have known this for years. That's why they do it. Science is just now confirming it. So could you set aside 2 hours in an entire week to incorporate some sort of resistance training? 2 hours a week, that would be 4 30-minute weightlifting sessions a week. Or maybe you do 20 minutes 5 times a week, something like that. It's doable, and if you're really serious about your results, I highly recommend you finding the way. All right, let's move this along. I know we're getting a little long on this one. Moving. This is the last key. This is really important because this is really an overall health thing. It keeps you capable, confident, and free. Why you need to move is we are all born to move. Your body is put together. God made you and put you together to move. Movement is how we feel emotions. Movement is how we express ourselves. Movement is how we feel alive. It is an essential part of our overall health and well-being. Just some of the reasons moving is important, just some of the benefits that we get. It's a sign of life, first of all. First sign that you are dead is that you are not moving. Am I right? Like, not moving is a sign of death. So movement is a sign of life. It helps you go from heavy and stiff, like people who are bedridden, they get heavier, they get stiff, their muscles atrophy, to being lean and agile and able to really just be flexible and be able to move in different ways. You feel more energetic, you feel younger. It enables you to do more things. The more you move, the more you're going to find you're able to do stuff. It empowers you. It aids in your mental health. It actually helps with SAD in the wintertime, with seasonal affective disorder, whatever it stands for. It helps with depression too. It makes you smarter. I read a study where if you just move for 2 minutes every 2 hours, your brain will kick up a notch and you will be smarter. Imagine that. Frees you from anxiety because it helps you. Movement is emotion. It evokes emotion, so it can help you move some of those stuck, pent-up emotions, right? Frees you from some of your limitations when you discover that you can do more things that you didn't realize you could do. It also increases your NEAT activity, or the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So basically this is if you're all the ways you're moving when you're not working out, walking the dog, getting on the conference call, Zoom meetings, taking the kids to school, standing up and making dinner for your family, that's all NEAT activity. And so the more that you're just moving throughout your day, the more steps you're getting in, that's going to be a huge factor in maintaining your weight. You do not need workouts to move. I know that tends to be what we do these days. We work out, but you don't need a workout to move. You just need to actually get on your feet and move. So something to think about. What new benefits would you enjoy if you committed yourself to moving just a little bit more? Would you be happier? Would you discover things about yourself that you didn't know? Would you learn a new, would you start to dance? Would you learn how to belly dance or something? Would you take up a new sport? Like, what new benefits might come into your life if you actually committed yourself to trying to move more? So to sum up our time today, 3 keys to keeping muscle and burning fat: eating more protein because it aids your metabolism, lifting heavy things because it doesn't make you bulky and makes your muscles big and strong, which is anti-aging and makes you look lean and toned, and movement, because movement is life. It is going to balance your happiness, your health, your wellness, your well-being, and it's just going to make you feel unstoppable. Bottom line from today's training: eat protein, lift heavy things, whatever heavy looks like for you, because that's going to be different for every person's ability. And moving, that's going to burn more fat. It's going to sustain your weight loss, and overall it's going to sustain your health, because that's what's going to keep you challenged and growing. And it is growing that keeps us young. If you're not growing, you're dying. And these are the 3 things that are going to keep your body growing. So action steps today: keep tracking, keep getting in those calories. Maybe today you start to think about, how could I add in a little bit more protein, or make sure I'm getting enough protein, or protein with every meal would be a good thing you could do. Practice moving Maybe even try a little resistance training. I did include some of those 5-minute workouts that you could try if you dare. So I have included some ways that you can incorporate some movement and resistance training into this 5-day mini course. And also make sure you fill in your check-in sheet tonight. And as always, if you have questions, reach out through the Facebook page.